of the raid in North Korea. And in sports, KCCA-FC in a must-win tie this weekend. Welcome once again. My name is Patricia Lokoma. Mugalu Mohammed is right there on a sport, joining us there on sign language. Straight away into the bulletin, President Yoweri Museveni has invited the Danish agricultural investors to set up the agricultural process and production industries in the country, as opposed to the costly process of importing agricultural machinery. The president was meeting with the Danish agribusiness and food tech business delegation from the Danish Agriculture and Food Council at State House Entebbe. President Yoweri Museveni assured his guests that Africa can utilize the new agricultural systems of value addition. The Danish companies seeking for opportunities to invest and share knowledge with Ugandan farmers include Simbrea, dealing in the grain handling and storage, Danfoss company specializing in cold chain and robot techniques, and then Fox company that supplies test agricultural equipment, and then Jiden company that handles animal housing equipment, Blacher company which supplies dairy plants, and Engsco company that supplies modern grilling stones. The head of the delegation, Jeppe Pedersen, pointed out that the peace and stability in the country serves as a key factor in their interest to invest in the country. Now over to Parliament. Parliament has presented 7 key points of investigations that would solve Makerere University strikes. As of now, an amicable solution from the August House will be reached upon within 13 days as the Speaker instructs the Committee on Education to take on this matter.
That they direct the university management to rescind any suspensions of students and instead institute mechanisms to resolve the impasse at the university through civil and democratic means. 2, direct the Minister of Defense and the Minister of Internal Affairs to withdraw the military from the university and student hostels and direct the police to exercise restraint, observe human rights, and to protect the life of students and their property at the university.
Yes, I think our concern is the military being in the hostels. Yes. They can be outside on the road, but not in the hostels. No. Not get in the hostels, not breaking the doors. Yes, they can be on the road. Much obliged, right, Honorable Speaker.
3, direct government to hold any fees increments at the university until a sustainable remedy to financing the university is established by all stakeholders.
Originally what I intended to do was to submit this to our Education Committee, give them up to the 13th of November to give us a position. They would identify the areas which need further action, but the ones like the Auditor General, those I would write immediately. Those which don't need to go to the committee are right immediately, and then maybe they can tell us whether that committee can tell us where the Vice Chancellor should go. I thought let's start with our committee and the report on the 13th. So is the motion seconded? Has the motion been seconded? Motion seconded.
Amendment. The moment the students' leader, a good president, is not produced, we would have not done anything. So let us instruct the government to produce the guild leader, the guild president of Makerere University.
It's not true, as it was alleged yesterday, that was kidnapped. I have got information from his colleagues that is keeping away from the too much pressure she was being subjected to.
This morning, I hadn't told you, I was discussing with the president this morning that very issue about the young man. And said he's not sure whether he has been abducted, but that if he needs security, he should let us know and the president provides security. If he's hiding from some people of pressure, the president provides security. That's what he told me this morning. Yes.
Representatives of the students' body, they come to an agreement
because these students are from very, very wanting families, Madam Speaker, and there is no way we shall set
issues to do with the UNAB. Heavy rains affecting most parts of the country have disrupted the preparations for this year's primary leaving examinations, with most schools in these affected districts like Bulambuli being relocated. Addressing the media at Ntinda UNAB officers, the Executive Secretary Dan Nokrach Odong said that this has increased fuel costs because those transporting examination materials will have to use longer routes.
Uganda National Examinations Board will conduct this year's primary leaving examinations that start Monday, November 4th. This year, 695,793 candidates have been registered to sit examinations from 13,475 centres, an increase in candidature of 3.6% compared to 2018. The girls account for 51.7% compared to boys at 48.3%. Special needs candidates are 1,259, while inmates from Luzira prison are 62. Ministry of Finance will provide extra funds to cater for expenses that come with relocation of schools due to heavy rains.
Of these, like Bulambuli, have already moved quite a number of schools from their original location to other parts of the district. And these districts where candidates have been relocated will most likely need assistance in the form of food items, temporary shelter, probably scholastic materials, medical and sanitary facilities for the candidates, and probably some protective gear in the form of raincoats.
Meanwhile, police have arrested individuals selling alleged fake UNAB set PLE examinations.
Schools that the fraudsters have been circulating what they purport to be UNAB PLE papers. Some are labeled set 1, others are labeled set 2, and they're saying these are the papers that are going to be administered. Several such people have been arrested, and from different parts of the country, including Mubende, Kampala here, Mbarara and Mukono, and some of these have already been charged.
The board has also introduced random numbers to be used alongside students' personal numbers with the aim of hiding the schools to prevent compromise by examiners.
We will have 4 separate numbers. But of course, when the results are released, all this will have been interpreted back to the number, the school number which we know. Also be codes, so that the district name will also not appear on the candidates' scripts. These are measures that the board is introducing in order to ensure that the persons who will be marking are not under any pressure because they know a particular school or they know a particular district from.
Random numbers replace Education Management Information System numbers introduced last year. Briefing is tomorrow, Friday, November 1st. Candidates will start with mathematics and end with English on Tuesday next week. I'm Nafka Farida and Helen Barbara in Tinda.
Now, about issues to do with the Land Commission, the Commission of Inquiry into Land Matters has engaged with government ministries, departments and agencies on government acquisition of land. The Executive Director, Uganda Land Alliance, Algresa Akwi Ogojo, said that there is need to provide financial literacy for project-affected people. The Land Inquiry is soliciting views from different stakeholders on land management within the country.
The Land Inquiry, chaired by Justice Catherine Bamgemerere, is in the process of writing a report on land acquisition, management and registration, interfacing with officials from government ministries, departments and agencies. The Commission was given recommendations that need address. The Executive Director, Uganda Land Alliance, Argesha Akwi Ogojo, hinted on the non-monetary compensation of land to women.
Most of us women, we are not so much interested in money because we have children to look after. We need farms to produce food for the family to eat. So we are not interested in money. We want land for land.
A challenge of resettling people without consultation was identified, and providing information to the public on development plans before identification of land was recommended.
In Karamoja, there was a hospital built for the Karamojong by the government. But without knowing the culture, the traditions and norms of these people, they built this hospital with the entrance facing the east where the sun comes from. According to Karamojong tradition, if you enter that place, that hospital, you will not be able to produce children.
Setting up a land tribunal to handle land cases due to the increasing number of cases was an aspect that needs address.
That land tribunal is in the law, but its implementation was put off because it was the structure, to set up the structure was very, very expensive, but they are needed like yesterday.
Justice Catherine Bamgemerere says there should be harmonized knowledge about government land acquisition laws, policies, procedures and practices.
We thought it is important to talk to the sector drivers and find out what their problems are. Obviously, they pointed out the problem of the laws which are outmoded, the laws which are obsolete, like the Land Acquisition Act, the laws also which are in contradiction, the Land Acquisition Act and the 1995 Constitution, and then the Land Act. They're just, the framework just doesn't seem to work well together. In fact, you can quite easily say that there is no law that has activated the 1995 Constitution articles on land acquisition.
She said government and related agencies are under pressure to deliver public services in the face of an already high and growing demand for land.
There appears to be a need for a body that helps all these infrastructure bodies to come together.
Poor planning was highlighted where development partners release money for development with expectation for government to be able to provide land and cater for compensation costs. Sudat Kai, UBC.
Now, in the health sector, partners in population and development in Africa have met in Kampala to discuss reproductive, maternal, child and adolescent health. The two-day network of African Parliamentary Committee of Health attracted participants from 20 African countries, as we hear more in this report.
Issues of population, reproductive, maternal, child and adolescent health and family planning have raised concern on the African continent. Partners in population and development in Africa have met in Kampala to discuss reproductive, maternal, child and adolescent health and family planning. The Chairperson Health Committee, who represented the Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, says immediate action is required on sexually transmitted diseases, HIV/AIDS, low contraceptive use, and high maternal and infant mortality.
It should be our work as parliamentarians to play our oversight functions and ensure that our governments fulfill the commitments they make. All these engagements that we get involved in are really about delivering a better Africa, a better world for the benefit of the people we serve. I hope the delegates gathered here will agree with me that our countries share similar reproductive health problems.
State Minister for Planning David Bahati reaffirmed government's commitment towards reproductive health and family planning.
Our emphasis is ensuring that our policies and programs focus better on improvement of human capital through education and improved health, especially immunization, nutrition, water, and sanitation lifestyles. And I think also another area we can play an important role is the issue of nutrition. We have food on the continent, but but we don't eat it well. We don't eat it in the right quantities or the right type. So it's the thing that members of parliament is something that we can also emphasize.
Several resolutions advocating for financial resources and educating the public about various avenues to ensure health is prioritized were reached.
Like the commitments that have been taken by the parliamentarians, and I thank you very much for the commitments you have taken to promote reproductive health, family friendly, and also to advance South-South cooperation.
Resolutions from such meetings are to ensure Africa achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Vincent Wamundu compiled this report.
Well, thank you very much there, Vincent Wamundu. Now let's go back to Parliament, where the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Rebecca Kadaga, has inaugurated a 42 billion shillings livestock farming project at Kasolwe, Kagumba sub-county in Kamuli district. Kadaga told the people of Busoga that the failure to uplift their incomes is what has made the region a laughing stock and termed the seat of poverty. She noted that she was optimistic that the project will transform the society of Busoga.
This way, the community will also be trained, they will be skilled to do farming as a business. So this is the launch, and the project has already started. Today is a groundbreaking ceremony, and it has been officiated by the Right Honourable Speaker. And it is coordinated by NAGRIC, National Animal Genetic Resource Center, under Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, but working closely with local government, with the farmers.
We should also get some of those products in the Buganda region. Now, the Ministry of Public Service will increase salaries and at the same time will be bringing other issues. Before we get into that story, let's turn into the story of PPDA, where delays in completion of most of government projects has been attributed to strict laws of public procurement and disposal of public assets authority. The Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Matia Kashaija, says this law has to be changed in order to ease the modern trends of doing business.
Launch this collaborative framework between the public procurement and disposal of public asset authority, procuring and disposing entities, and the civil society to enhance public procurement outcomes and service delivery. So
the Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority is adjusting its procurement rules to make the system easier, transparent, more competitive and compliant. The Executive Director, Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority, Benson Turamye, says the law is to be reviewed in such a way that it becomes user-friendly, simpler, with bidding done online to avoid collusion.
There is the costs of government contracts will reduce, but also corruption will reduce because there is no interface. The bid is based there, the procuring, the officials of government are here. I don't interface with them. The bidder won't interface with officials of the government to facilitate the corruption tendencies.
The Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Matia Kashaija, urged the leadership of Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority to shorten the process of adding contracts for faster project implementation, especially of roads, schools, and health centers.
Every money we spend in the government is meant to produce something, even paying wages. you should count a cost. If you delay to pay your workers, you are losing because the workers will lose morale.
If they lose morale, then they will not perform the way they want them to perform. So there is definitely a financial loss every time we fail to execute a project as planned. But more so significant is that because the project is not moving at the speed at which we programmed it, then its contribution towards the economy is also strong.
PPDA board chairperson Julius Shungisa said they are conducting a study to establish causes of delays in procurement and disposal of public assets.
We have commissioned an investigation into the delays. The report is yet to come. Once it comes, we shall address the problems. But we are aware of the problem of delays, and we are looking forward to that report, and we address the causes of the delays.
The forum, held under the theme Strengthening Non-State Actor Participation in Monitoring Public Procurement Contracts for Increased Social Accountability, was supported by German International Corporation, GIZ.
We therefore applaud the PPDA for the initiative to partner with civil society organizations. It is a step in the right direction. CSOs operate at the grassroots level and in many instances in locations where the PPDA is not really able to execute their legal role.
Haimana Deo, reporting for UBC News.
Now we get into issues to do with public service, where the Ministry of Public Service will increase salaries and emoluments of the rest of the public servants in the next financial year. The Minister for Public Service, Wilson Muruli Mukasa, says there has been improvement in public service delivery from 30% to 70%. However, pensioners will no longer come to the center for their payments.
Ministry in Kampala was characterized by allegations on members' discrepancies about meager salaries and selective salary increments.
The issue is that all public servants would love to see their salary enhanced. For administrative officers and town clerks, as accounting officers, because we have more duties that we do. Our appeal to government, the Ministry of Public Services, when they are allocating wage for any enhancement, accounting officers of local governments needed to be looked into.
But Minister of Public Service Wilson Muruli Mukasa denies allegations of selective salary increment to some sections of public service, though phased delivery that are caused by budgetary constraints.
We ideally would have wanted to enhance pay for everybody at once. But where we have a cash budget and we don't have enough money, then the logical thing is to take certain categories of workers first, pay them, and then raise more money and pay others until we hit the pay targets.
He updated ministry performance in addressing the National Development Plan of Uganda. The Permanent Secretary Catherine Bitalakwate Musingwe says there have been strategic developments to improve service delivery.
The Ministry of Public Service registered an improved performance from 31% to 71%, according to the government annual performance review report.
In financial year 2020-2021, budget is projected to increase from 30.1 billion shillings to 50 billion shillings, with most of this increment focusing towards human capital management system. This report was compiled by Douglas Setumba for UBC News.
And in court, judges have been urged to analyze electoral petition cases to allow them give virtuous decisions. This was a proposal by participants attending an international judicial dialogue on human rights in Africa at Speak Resort in Munyonyo.
The Judicial Dialogue on Human Rights in Africa has emphasized on how to handle electoral petition cases. The head of Electoral and Governance Institute of Africa, Felix Oyimbo Owol, says the tendency of violating laws governing elections is on increase.
If you look across the world, it's only in 3 cases that a Supreme Court has invalidated a presidential election, and in Africa, it is only the first time. and that was the Supreme Court of Kenya in 2017. And if you look at the decisions of the various African judiciary, they seem to read one strand that speaks to substantial illegalities and the other that affects substantially the result, which is an irregularity, as one and the same thing.
According to Salanda Saini Humed, an expert in election issues from African Union, there is need for judicial officials to train on electoral petitions.
Well, you know, we want really to call on judges, wherever they are, to assume the responsibility that is bestowed on them by the people. Simply because fear is not part of a charisma of a judge. And therefore, we are really trying to trigger that sense of courage to stand strong. 51% of the population of our continent are women. So with that number, women deserve to be part of the electoral processes. We trust them at home. They are our mothers, our wives, sisters. Why can't we trust them also with holding an official office or a government office?
Participants explain how they handle electoral petition cases.
And in particular reference to Nigeria, is that political parties and their candidates are yet to come to terms with the fact that election is not a do or die affair. That's one. Second, that election is a process of electing people to administer the affairs of the state and also to manage the economy of the state.
The fourth judicial dialogue on human rights in Africa ends tomorrow. Amna Mamode Deborah, UBC.
Now still in court, a high court has sentenced Godfrey Wamala, commonly known as Troy, to 14 years in jail after being convicted of manslaughter. He was convicted for killing musician Moses Sechibogo, aka Mose Radio, early this year in a bar de bar in Entebbe. The presiding judge, Jane Francis Abodo, however, deducted 1 year and 8 months with 26 days, leaving 12 years for him in jail.
Behind them, like Sechibogo Moses did. I know the family and friends and fans of Sechibogo Moses would want this court to do for them one thing, and that is give the convict, Wamala Godfrey, the maximum sentence. However, proportionality is the cardinal principle of sentencing. Having said that, I find that the sentence of 14 years is reformative enough. In accordance with Article 23.8 of the Constitution and Regulation 15.2 of the Constitution Sentencing Guidelines for Courts of Judicial Practice Directions 2013, is to the effect that the court should deduct the period spent on remand from the sentence considered appropriate. After all factors have been taken into account, I observe that the convict surrendered to the police on the 4th of February 2018 and has been in custody since then.
When you're looking at it, it might be fair, but for me I think the question shouldn't be that, you know. The question should be that is the accused person going to exercise his right of appeal? Because even if we had been given 3 years, you know, no person wants a criminal record when he's convinced that he did not commit the crime. That's what my client is telling me, you know. Even if it was 1 year and all that, he intended to appeal.
Kati at least mpuliddeko kale naye munange era naye nga bw'omanyi ekyobuzadde omwana wange takomyewo nze mbadde njagala bamusibire ddala obulamu bwe bwonna nga bwe yajjawo omwana wange paka lwalidda baba baalidde oba talidda naye abeereko mu kkomera kati munaye siyinza kuwakanya kibaddewo.
Bwa Moses tebusobola kudda, tetuli bamativu nnyo ne kooti kyesazeewo, naye at least kye twali tusuubira poliisi bwe yatuyisa kuva mu ntandikwa ne kooti weetuuse. Sijja gamba nti twebaza kooti naye tusiimyemu akatono
olwa kooti okusalawo kwesazeewo.
Naye bw'abanga Troy bw'atyo bwe yasalawo okutukaabya amaziga obulamu bwaffe naffe bwe tulina mu nsi Katonda ajja musasula. Amagezi gempa Troy agumire ku ekyo kye bamuwadde era afukamire yeebaze Katonda kubanga ffe nga famire tubadde twagala Troy asibibwe obulamu bwe bwonna. Bw'abanga omulamuzi amufevalinze n'amuwa ekyo afukamire yeebaze Katonda ne famire ya Troy bave maziga beebaze Katonda tebamanyi ebbanga lye tukaabidde.
So practically 2 years have been deducted. Something that I didn't know is that in prison they count days and nights. Quite interesting there. Now moving over to the education sector, prior to briefing of primary leaving candidates due on Friday, various institutions are seeking divine intervention, as we hear more in this report.
Another Uganda National Examinations Board session starts on Monday with the primary 7 pupils sitting for their final examinations. This year, 695,793 candidates will sit from 13,475 centers. At St. Francis Namilyango Hillside, preparations started with the seeking divine intervention. Reverend Father Godfrey Mbowa urged parents to ensure hard work starting at an early age, but also avoid any forms of malpractice. The school director, Deogracious Semanja, advises parents and children that the future of individual development starts in education.
I want to advise everyone, parents out there, that whatever you do, we expect excellence. But in case things don't move the way you want them to move, positively, like we say, never give up. Never give up. Like for the children here in our school, we always tell them, even if they don't perform to their best, they must always continue trusting God, trust in themselves, say that they excel. The one day in their future, they can excel.
The 2019 PLE timetable starts on Monday with mathematics in the morning, social studies in the afternoon, and climaxes with science and English on Tuesday. John Barnes, Sentinel, reporting.
They seem to be ready for the exams there. Now, the newly created Rampara district has elected an interim chairperson after a 4 months period without a leader. The returning officer Electoral Commission Rampara district, Nicholas Twinomijuni, announced Asif Mohanji as the interim chairperson, elected and opposed.
I shall uphold, preserve, protect, defend the Constitution and observe the laws of Uganda, so help me God.
The Rampara district interim chairperson elections flopped twice due to lack of quorum. Only 4 councillors out of 7 could turn up, with 3 always going to hiding. The newly elected chairperson, Asaf Mohanji, says that the only challenge that is disturbing the people of Rampara district is bad politics and poverty.
Another program we have, Operation Wealth Creation. I have designed another project, Operation Wealth Plus 6. Operation alone is not enough. We are adding 6 other issues.
The former ambassador and Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, Francis Butangira, was the chief mediator who asked the people of Rampara to be united. Some of the councillors interviewed promised cooperation.
I talked to the leaders themselves one by one, and then also as a group. Now, the idea was to first of all understand their differences and how we can reach them.
The people of Rampara have been yearning for this great thing, the thing of getting united as a people. Because we know without unity, we cannot achieve.
We have been contesting for chairmanship, but we decided to withdraw
and we decided to appoint Mahanj Asaf to be the district chairperson, and we know we have confidence in him.
The swearing-in ceremony was presided over by the Chief Administrative Officer, Rwampara District, Lilian Kobusinje, and administered by Grade 1 Magistrate Mbarara. The District Councillor Mwizi Sub-County, Jordan Musinguzi, was elected as the Vice Chairperson.
Let's take a short break and return with more news. Keep it UBC.
Daddy, what's wrong?
I've had a long day, Angel, and I have a bad headache.
Oh, I'll give you something that will make you feel better if you promise to play with us.
Headache? Toothache. Unapoumwa, unataka kitulizo kwa haraka gani? Mara moja. Pain and Fever Reliever. A quality product from Beta Healthcare. Contains paracetamol, caffeine, and aspirin. Beta Healthcare. Caring for all. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Hello, Uganda! We introduce to you the first and ever My Right to Play Christmas Kids Festival 2019. Let the kids feel the Christmas Eve on the 21st of December at the Legends Sports Ground in Lugogo. Entrance is 10,000 shillings only and parents free. Bring your child and have an opportunity to play, sing, dance and discover their talents. Mujetu ingira mazalibwa nga batu basanyisa bato bannabwe. Mulete abaana bammwe banyumirwe banywe bazanye. Kino kigenda kubeera kijjobi. Proudly sponsored by Legends Sports Ground, UBC TV, Star TV, U24 TV, Star FM, Magic 100 FM, UBC Butebo, MM Marketing, UMC Victoria Hospital, and Ideas Workshop. Bw'oyagala omwana okuyimba kuba ku ssimu eno.
Does heartburn stop you from eating the things you love? Eating too fast, alcohol, or spicy food can trigger acidity, heartburn, indigestion, or flatulence. Your best bet is Better Cool. Better Cool works fast to relieve acidity, heartburn, and indigestion. Trust Better Cool. Enjoy life. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice. This weekend on UBC.
My name is Nkaiv Hannington, winner of the NSSF Friends with Benefits Season 2.
Congratulations, Hannington!
I used my winnings to boost my agricultural production and give a chance to the people in my community to work.
So join us this year for the third season of the NSSF Friends with Benefits, as 16 Ugandans share inspirational stories on how they use their NSSF benefits to do life-changing things. So tune in every Sunday with your host, Gaetano, and I, and special new host, Uncle D. It's another incredible display. It's the NSSF Friends with Benefits.
And that's not all. You have the power to vote for your favorite stories to win up to 55 million shillings, just like Huntington. This show is brought to you by
NSSF, a better life.
Welcome back. It's time for us to drop into the business world. The East African region will immensely benefit from the Continental Free Trade Area if product standards and quality is improved, argues Amelia Chambade, the Minister of Trade and Industry. Chambade was addressing participants at a workshop in Kampala, which sought to examine a report that assesses the impact of the African Continental Free Trade Area to Uganda.
The study of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa and Trademark East Africa suggests that Eastern Africa as a bloc will gain around US$ 737 million from the increase in the intra-African exports. In terms of absolute value, Uganda will be the largest beneficiary of the African Continental Free Trade Area in Eastern Africa, with exports to the rest of Africa increasing by US$ 199 million.
So our discussion of the African Continental Free Trade Area today is therefore taking place at the right time and so much in line with the priorities of the government of Uganda. And when I discuss with my colleagues, the ministers from other countries, you can see that they've made preparations, but I think Uganda is ahead.
For Uganda, the biggest boost to inter-regional trade will be in the manufacturing and agricultural sectors.
The airport is not as efficient as the land border, Busia, for example. Therefore, Trademark East Africa, working with government of Uganda, is supporting the implementation of an airport community management system where you are able to log, even using the single window, thank you, to be able to export freely and even well in advance.
Inter-regional trade will not only increase trade volumes, but also enhance the prospects for export diversification by increasing the demand for manufactured goods exports.
Our study shows, for example, $1.8 billion of welfare benefits. That comes through lower prices, through the imported goods. You understand? That also comes through the jobs created, through the dynamism of the regional economy, through the diversification of the economy. So potentially there's a lot of spillovers. You know, it's done in essence for the citizens.
As we are going into a little bit of industrialization, you're not likely to export the bulk of your goods to Europe again because of standards, because of what you call SPS, sanitary and phytosanitary aspects. So you still have a market locally here.
The objectives of CFTA are to create a single continental market for goods and services with free movement of business persons and investments, and lay the foundations for the establishment of a continental customs union. Dennis Ikoa and Robin Yoso for UBC Business.
Now, dairy farmers in Chiboga district have realized an increase in milk harvest in the period of 1 year. This is due to the ABI Development Support Strategy, which is being implemented by ABI Development Limited in partnership with Jessa Dairy Company Limited. Geoffrey Okidi, head of a portfolio development ABI Development, says that the rural farmers are being exploited for lack of financial information. Let's hear more.
Interventions by private sector agribusiness development is projected to enhance wealth creation of small-scale farmers. To facilitate this initiative, the Agriculture Business Initiative is partnering with the Jessa Dairy Company to provide support to dairy farmers in Kiboga district.
We are trying to improve the extension system and knowledge transfer between Jessa. You realize that the production levels of the animals at Jessa is so much higher compared to at the farms of the smallholder farmers. The end is to have income and wealth created for all. There will be more employment at the farm level, more employment at Jessa level, but also increase the incomes, and then Ugandans consuming quality milk.
At the evaluation tour at Jessa Dairy Factory in Busunju-Wakiso district, farmers' milk production increased to 130,000 litres per day to meet the demand of the factory of 200,000 litres per day.
Uganda sub-region is really very low in milk production, so most of our supplies, close to over 70% of our supplies, have been coming from southwestern Uganda, that's in Mbarara. And that has really a negative bearing when it comes to the issues of milk quality because of the long distance that the milk travels from Mbarara to reach Jessa, which is a distance of over 300 kilometers. But we have seen, with the support of the project, we have seen that change. Currently, the milk production that the milk harvest that we get from our outgrower farmers near our factory has increased to over 130,000 litres per day.
This financial inclusion program is being supported by the Danish government.
Explore opportunities for working together with Ugandan agri-businesses and the authorities in Uganda to explore opportunities to grow the agricultural sector in Uganda in general.
Technical and financial support are still lacking among small-scale farmers, which was found to hinder dairy production. Abdul Nasir Rubama for UBC News.
Now, Minister for Agriculture and Industry and Fisheries, Vincent Bamulanga Chisempija, has promised Chigeze farmers extra tea seedlings to replace what was lost. It follows farmers' concerns over tea seedlings supplied under the NADS project, which dried up due to drought that hit the region at planting.
In 2017, government, through NARD's program, provided farmers of Chigezi with tea seedlings amounting to shillings 60 million, drying up. The tea farmers needed more seedlings. The Minister for Agriculture visited Chigezi region to assess the situation.
Chigezi for coming together to help our farmers, to sensitize our farmers and encourage them to go into intensive and extensive production of coffee and rice. But I also thank them for the innovations.
He visited gardens bordering Bwindi National Park and Kayonza Growers Tea Factory. The minister promised to pay nursery operators who were not paid in the first supply. He also visited a coffee processing factory founded by Chigezi youth farmers, where he commissioned a new rice factory. He thanked the youth for starting up such projects and not to wait for government. Mutanyi Hilda and Nwamanya Jacob for UBC.
Time for the international scene as we cross over to the United States of America. U.S. military has published the first footage of the raid in northern Syria that resulted in death of the leader of the Islamic State group. Grainy video showed troops firing at militants on the ground as they flew towards the compound where Abu Bakr Baghdadi was hiding before they moved in on ground. Baghdadi fled into the tunnel and killed himself by detonating a suicide vest. After the raid, the compound was destroyed with ammunitions. The head of the U.S. Central Command, General Kenneth Mackenzie, said that the destroyed buildings were left looking like a parking lot with large potholes. And in sports, Ugandan clubs KCCA, FC and Proline are upbeat ahead of the Sunday CAF Confederation second round tie. KCCA FC is away to Operado while Proline hosts Al Nasir Benghazi of Libya. We have more in this report.
KCCA has flown out to Algiers for the CAF Confederation preliminary return leg game against Parandu SC on Sunday. 18 players and officials were led by Uchom Richard on behalf of Fufa and Katabu Moses. Skipper Charles Lukwago heads the list of players that has Jamil Mariamungu, Peter Magambo, Elix Senjobe, Filberto Benchan, Mustafa Kiza, and other players. Before departure, head coach Mike Mutebi was confident turning results around to qualify to the group stages.
They're very good counter-attacking side, so we have to deal with that challenge. That means we must match them in as far as using the ball is concerned, especially in the midfield. Okay, and maybe have the cutting edge in the final third, where I think our football is mainly defined in the final third, how we use the ball in the final third. But like I've said, they are very good on the ball and they play on the counter-attack.
KCFC played to a goalless draw with Parandu in the first leg at Lugogo last Sunday. The team connects through Dubai and will touch base at the final destination on Friday. Meanwhile, Proline FC hosts Libyan outfit Al Nasri Benghazi this Sunday. Proline came from behind twice to force a total draw in Libya, and a win or a goalless draw helps them progress to the next round.
Now, in women football, Uganda Crested Cranes head coach Farida Bulega has rallied her team to focus before the 2019 Sekafa Women Challenge Cup in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. 35 players were summoned for the non-residential training that started at Luzira for 5 days before the team enters a residential camp at Fufa Technical Center, Njero, Uganda, who will be playing the first game on 15th November against Djibouti, are in the same group with Kenya at Ethiopia.
We have started today our training. So far, not bad. I summoned 35 players, 28 turned up, which is a good number, and their fitness level is not that bad. There's a way where we have started from. So according to the group where they put us, Uganda, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Kenya, it's a tough group. But also as Uganda we are tough. I believe in the players. We just need to add on some few things like the fitness, the combination. I think we shall do our best. And the girls are set, and the remaining days they will favor us and get the final things.
Now, Kenya's Justus Madoya shoots 5 under par 71 to open his day to lead at the ongoing Castlelight Entebbe Golf Open with his 66 points today to top to his 70 yesterday. Madoya overcame Robson Chinohi, who had slapped 7 under by the Wednesday day, and ahead of the Opio Silva and Timbe Kopan. Uganda's Haman Motawe also made the cut to close a 3-gap stroke in the second position.
I'll just keep that motion, keep that power, just playing cool and enjoying. So I hope to finish with under par in the next 2 rounds.
As I made the cut, and I think I'm in a good position, I'm focusing to be the winner. So tomorrow they are beating me maybe by 4 shots, but 2 days to go. I'm sure I'll get those guys.
I believe among the 20 or the 22 who are going to make the cut, half of the number will be Kenyans, or 3/4 of the numbers will be Kenyans. And what I only say is that in East Africa, Kenya proves like to be the one dominating in the world of golf. But this is a result because if you look at how golf is in Uganda, how golf is in Kenya, how golf is in Tanzania, and other East African countries, you'll notice that Kenya has the most golf courses. So it's not just by luck, but it's something that is there. But what I can only say is that although a Kenyan is leading, we still have a lot of competition. There's a guy from Zimbabwe who is neck to neck with the Kenyan. There are also guys from Uganda who have really done well. So it's not yet over. We've just done the first part, which is I'm happy of, that half of the number which have gone in are Kenyans. But still, the actions now begin tomorrow.
Well, there's a lot for us to learn there in the golf game. Now, before we sign out, let's have a little bit of Juliet give us the weather forecast.
Hello, good evening. I'm glad you're joining us for today's weather report. I'm Alitweda Juliet from Uganda National Meteorological Authority. Today in the morning, most parts of the country have had cloudy and rainy conditions. Later in the afternoon, the southern sector and the western sector of the country had thunder showers. And the rainfall report received by 9 a.m. this morning, it is indicating Masindi with the highest of 35.8 millimeters, Masaka 21.5, Toro 20.1, whereas Kampala reported 10.7 millimeters. And this is attributed to what we are seeing on our satellite image, that there is a low pressure zone over South Africa, which is pulling the rain belt southwards and covering most parts of our country, leading to these wet activities. For tomorrow morning, we are expecting light rains for areas around Lake Victoria Basin, some parts in west and the eastern region. Elsewhere, we shall have sunny intervals. In the afternoon, we expect wet weather pickup, thunder showers for western region. Elsewhere, rains are still expected. The maximum temperatures will rise up to 27 degrees centigrade for most parts of the country, 28 for eastern region, and for southwestern Uganda, we are expecting them to go up to 23 degrees centigrade. And if you intend to go beyond Uganda, we are expecting thunder showers in Mumbai at a maximum of 35 degrees centigrade. Rains for Nairobi and Madrid, whereas sunny conditions are anticipated for Dubai and Vienna at a maximum of 37 in Dubai. Thank you for keeping us company. Have a blessed night.
Well, thank you very much there, Lituvera Juliet. That does bring us to the end of news tonight. But before we sign out once again, let's have that recap on our top stories. In our top stories tonight, Kadega gives Education Committee 13 days to investigate Makerere University's situation. PLE examination malpractice is reported. And on the international scene, US military publishes the first footage of the raid in northern Syria. And in sports, KCCFC is in a must-win tie this weekend. Thank you so much for keeping it UBC TV. My name is Patricia Lokoma, and Mugalu Mohammed has been on sign language. It's always a pleasure. UBC programming continues. For now, it's a good night.
Brought to you by Better Cool works fast to relieve acidity, heartburn, and indigestion. Trust Better Cool. Enjoy life.
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Uganda National Culture Center presents the second UNCC Annual Arts and Culture Festival featuring Nanucha and the Planets, Africopan,